Hi, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to do something that I wanted to do for Advent actually. My plan was to do some tiny mixed media abstract pieces for every day of Advent. However, I kind of thought, well, is that really realistic? Am I actually going to paint or do something every day in the busiest month of the year? And I thought, no, probably not. So I never actually did it. And then a couple of weeks ago I was thinking, I could have done it for every month of the year instead, which would be a lot easier. And I was a bit annoyed with myself. I thought, oh, I've missed it now, January's gone. So I decided that actually I can still do it. March is, where I am anyways, the first month of spring, I think. Some people say February, I think March. I thought spring, new life, new start, so I think March is as good a time as any to start this project. So I'm going to just do a tiny little miniature, same means the same thing, doesn't it? A tiny mixed media artwork for each month of the year, starting now in March. I did say last week that I was taking my dog out and it was a lovely spring day, first day of the year. I'd not worn a coat, and then a couple of days ago it was snowing, really large flakes, and it didn't settle unfortunately, because I do like a bit of snow. Today it's quite sunny again, a bit colder, but it's still spring. So what I'm going to do then, first of all, I just need to divide my page up into 12 equal sections. I wasn't sure whether I would do equal sections or just kind of different orientation, different kind of size spaces, but I think equal would be good. So this is A4 watercolour paper, 300 GSM I think, and it's quite smooth. I think it's a medium grain, and I've just taped the edges with some tape. It's about 1 centimetre I think, a little bit wider actually, maybe 12 millimeters or something like that. Yeah, so I've taped the edges and I just need to decide whether I've just folded up these scraps of paper because I couldn't decide what size to do. In my head I had portrait sections in mind, which would mean 6 across and 2 down, or obviously that way, but I think they're quite narrow, so I'm not sure about that. This was a bit squarer than I had in mind, but I think I prefer that. I might do it that way, because then each season will have 3 in a line. Obviously depends where you live, doesn't it? Where I am, I always think of the year divided into 4, 3 seasons, 3 months in each season. Yes, I think I'll do it like that. And yeah, my other decision was whether to tape between each section, but I kind of like the idea of them maybe kind of running into each other, I think. Yeah, in my head I had, at the end it'd be one whole kind of picture all merged together. Yeah, okay, so I think I'm going to do it like that. So I'm just going to measure out these sections now. I find it really interesting in the UK actually that we use this weird mix of metric and imperial measurements. Generally when I'm measuring paper I'll use metric, although if inches gives me like a whole number I might use that. But yeah, generally for art and craft it's metric. Okay, so there are 12 sections for the year. And what I I'm doing next is just finding the colours to use. So I have already selected what I'm going to use. I've said before in another video that I use I've got a book of colour palettes, and also Pinterest is really good for colour palettes. There's a website I use as well, but I think I quite like Pinterest. I'm actually in the process of making my own colour palette cards, because another hobby of mine is photography, and I'm always trying to find ways to bring photography and art together. So I have started sorting out some of my photos to make my own colour palette cards, but I do need to go on a nature walk and do some more photography, so yeah, I'll do that maybe when the weather gets a little bit warmer. So I found this colour palette on Pinterest. I wanted something quite green for March. So this is ideal really, it's a bit of yellow and orange as well. So I'm just going to try and match these colours. I've already had a look for something because I've got things all over my little room where I do my art. So I can't just sit here and grab bits and pieces. So I've got, let's see, so this pencil from Derwent Pastel Pencil Process Yellow, which matches that quite well. And then what else have I got? So I've got some Kuretake watercolours, and I think this saffron yellow also matches that pretty well, which is this one here. So let's get that one out. Okay, and the sort of mid green, I think maybe this set of Kuretake, they look quite different when you actually use them to what they look in the containers. It looks quite light here, but I think this one might work for that first green there. Just made it a bit deeper. I think that would be okay. Okay, so for the next green, I've got these pastels. So I think I've just picked up this one here, which matches that quite well. I did have this watercolour paint, but I think it's a bit dark. Okay, and then the next one I found Spectrum Noir JG7. It's not exactly the same, it's the best I could find, so I'll use that. And I was looking at these felt dye pads, but colours they look quite okay on here, but when you try them they're not quite right, so I don't think I'll use those. And then the orange, I might use just orange Sharpie. Do you know what? That on my tape is actually, that matches really well. I've got a thinner one. I might actually use some tape. Oh, there we go. Okay, so where are we? I think that's all of them. I've got any gouache colours I could use. That yellow looks kind of, might use a bit of a lemon yellow gouache paint as well. The thing with using these colour palettes, they're only to give you ideas of what goes together, aren't they? You don't have to stick to it exactly. But they are really useful if you're not sure what colours go with what. I find it really useful to use an already made colour palette. And things that are natural are always the best things to use in my opinion, because with nature colours just go together, don't they? So let's just see, is there anything else? Okay, I've also just picked out this pea green from the Kuretake set and orange yellow gouache as well. Okay, and what I'm going to do actually is just tape the edges. Although I'm not too fussed about them going over the edge, I don't want them going too much. It might be, I don't know if I'll be able to tape the edges once I've already done a painting. Okay, so really have no idea what I'm going to be doing. That's what I quite like about doing abstract art though, you just go with it, don't you? Just do what feels right in the moment. I just had to leave it to dry for a bit because it was tearing the paper. So, okay. Quite like the effect that the pastels are giving. It's like stems of flowers. I didn't intend to do flowers, do you know, but I've got circles and now I've got stems and it looks a little like flowers. That's okay, doesn't really matter. I want this quite dry, but Okay, there we go. It is the first month of my year, so March. Do you know, I forgot to stick the tape on my jeans first. It's pulled up the paper a bit. But as it's mixed media, it doesn't really matter because I can be part of the effect, so that's okay. Yeah, so that is March. Kind of flowery, but wasn't really meant to be, but you know, you never know what's going to happen, do you, when you do these things. So at least doing it monthly, I can hopefully keep up with it rather than doing it daily in December, although I would like to do an Advent one. We'll see how it goes this year. Anyway, that's all for now. I shall see you next time.